You might want to grab a magnifying glass for this one. Welcome to AI in 5, where we discuss key AI developments in about 5 minutes or less. Today, we are discussing OpenAI's new comprehensive AI policy blueprint it is presenting to the U.S. government. And Sam Altman is really sounding a massive alarm with this document.
He really is, yeah.
Right. He's essentially pointing right at Washington and, saying lawmakers are just completely blind to how fast superintelligence is barreling toward us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the urgency here really comes from Altman and Chris Lethane looking at this near-term timeline.
Right.
And they're realizing that the current regulatory speed limit, it just won't work. They aren't simply worried about, deepfakes anymore.
Oh, no, we're way past that.
Way past. They are looking at catastrophic systemic vulnerabilities. I mean, if a model can write zero-day cyber exploits or, say, synthesize novel biological pathogens.
Right. You can't just fix a biorisk with a software update.
Exactly. You can't just release it to the public and patch the security holes later. So this blueprint is basically an attempt to ensure the technology benefits everyone before things just move way too fast to control.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. If they are so terrified of severe biorisks and, devastating cyber attacks, why present this massive government policy blueprint instead of just, locking down their own private labs?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. Is OpenAI essentially asking to be regulated like, say, a nuclear power plant?
That's a really good analogy, actually.
Like you have this dangerous but necessary utility,
Yeah.
so you beg for heavy government oversight. But what do these entities actually need to do to comply? And if the government gets involved, doesn't that immediately kill the innovation engine that got us here?
Well, that tension is exactly what's driving the intense pushback against this blueprint. To comply with what the document calls societal resilience, the recommendations don't just ask for a few routine audits.
What do they want then?
They're proposing embedding government regulators directly into the server farms.
Wait, really? Directly inside?
Literally inside. We are talking about establishing concrete compute thresholds. So if a training run exceeds a certain amount of processing power, a federal agency has to monitor it for anomalies.
Like testing the model in a sandbox first?
Yes, a pre-deployment sandbox to ensure it can't generate dangerous biological data before it ever interacts with the public.
Wow, so they are proposing a literal kill switch infrastructure.
Yeah, pretty much.
That is a massive pivot from the typical tech sector, move fast and break things mantra. It almost sounds like they want the U.S. government to take a highly direct, hands-on role in AI development to secure these systems.
Oh, it goes even further than that. I mean, there is an active debate swirling right now about whether OpenAI or whatever entity achieves AGI first should simply be nationalized.
Wait, nationalizing OpenAI, that seems completely counterintuitive.
I know, it sounds wild, but the argument embedded in these policy discussions is that you can't leave a technology with the destructive potential of a geopolitical weapon solely in the hands of a private, profit-driven board.
But if I'm a private competitor, I'm looking at this blueprint and thinking it's a giant moat. I mean, it looks like OpenAI is pulling up the ladder behind them.
Oh, totally.
Like they're making compliance so impossibly expensive and tightly controlled by the government that no startup could ever compete.
Which is exactly why critics have been so vocal. Some have outright dismissed these sweeping government-heavy policy proposals as a Bernie Sanders fever dream.
A Bernie Sanders fever dream, wow.
Yeah, it highlights a highly polarized debate. You have a free market tech sector colliding head-on with what is increasingly being framed as a massive national security threat.
Right, and no matter where you fall on the political spectrum, handing the keys over to Washington is going to be incredibly messy.
Extremely messy. The blueprint insists we need this level of centralized control to prevent security failures and manage massive job loss, but the actual mechanics of it are huge.
Okay, so if this actually goes through, what are the implications? Let's break this down. Because for tech companies, they're basically caught in a trap of their own making now.
They are. They face a brutal dual pressure. On one hand, they have to keep racing to advance AGI to satisfy investors and beat international rivals.
Right.
But on the other hand, they're simultaneously navigating the very real threat of massive government intervention that could just freeze their operations overnight.
And what about for lawmakers?
For them, the implications are equally daunting. They have to immediately wake up and build complex regulatory frameworks.
Like monitoring global compute clusters.
Exactly, for a technology they don't fundamentally grasp yet.
So what does this new paradigm mean for you, the everyday person listening to this? The blueprint mentions imminent widespread job disruption, But it also talks about intelligence becoming a widely available priced utility.
Yeah, so think of it like accessing the electric grid.
Right.
Instead of paying a huge premium for a brilliant lawyer or an expert coder, the blueprint pushes for a reality where you pay a monthly subscription to a government-regulated grid of cognitive power.
Wow, just plugging into intelligence.
Exactly. The goal is to cap the price of compute, so it acts like a public good, ensuring even low-income citizens can tap into a centralized AI infrastructure to solve complex problems on demand.
So it democratizes access to genius-level processing.
Right, but it also structurally guarantees that massive swaths of the knowledge work economy will be wiped out as this utility rolls out.
Which forces us to really look at the human element here. If intelligence simply becomes a cheap, regulated public utility, just like electricity flowing from a wall socket into your house, how will that change the core of human ambition? I mean, if you can just turn on a tap for a genius-level business strategy or a masterclass symphony, what happens to our own innate drive to struggle, learn, and create?
Well, that's a wrap. Thank you for joining us for this episode of AI in 5 on the Global AI Policy News Channel. Until next time.